Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Shai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Shai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Howell, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the blindness of the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, which you well. Salutations to the whole for the elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. On the pre-Shaman, this week's topic is going to be entitled The Spirit is Like the Wind. And the inspiration for the show comes to the fact that sometimes you're going to have your up days and down days and pushing this work, as you can see from the example above, sometimes, in school, you might have been sleepy, and some other times out of nowhere, you want to participate, right? And I'm just using that as an example. It doesn't have to be school. It could be anything, whatever you went to. Some days you feel like doing it, and some days you don't feel like doing it. And the same thing is going to happen in this truth. It does not mean you're not a man of the Lord. It just means like this is the spirit. This is how it works. So I'm going to do some scriptures to hopefully encourage brothers to be more in the spirit of doing than in the spirit of laxing. But at the end of the day, it's just the spirit of the Lord, how the Most High moves upon certain brothers. 1 week you might put up a hell of a lot of shows, and the next week not so much. You know. So this is John 3 and this is St. John 3 verse 8. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but canst not tell whence it cometh, and whither it goeth. So is everyone that is born of the Spirit. So we're born of the Spirit, and when we out there teaching, that Spirit is moving around. Them holy angels, they moving around, jumping from one brother to the next. Even throughout the week. This goes into doing these lessons and doing these shows, and you might be one way last week and then completely different the next week, and you're like, man, what the fuck's gonna happen? You praying, you waiting for the Spirit to jump back on you, and you praying and waiting. Sometimes it might not happen. All right, sometimes it does, but what you got to do is just say, you know what, I'm gonna put together these scriptures, and then you know what, let's see where the Spirit goes. Lord willing, the Most High put the Spirit on me to bring it out this week. But it's gonna jump to and fro from different brothers. Even if you want to do a lesson, sometimes you're like, man, I want to do this lesson. I'm gonna do this lesson. You might not even do it, and then vice versa. The flip side, you're like, oh man, next thing you know, you might crank out 10 shows in 3 days. You never know. This is how the Spirit works, man. This thing is not of us. This is Psalms 107 verse 25. For he commandeth and riseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. Let me start at verse 22. Psalms 107 verse 23. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters, these see the works of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and his wonders in the deep. For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. So the Most High put the spirits on the seas to be roary and very aggressive, and damn near frightening. Sometimes you can see a contrast. Like watch that movie Castaway with Tom Hanks. And when he was at sea, certain parts of the nights, the sea damn near was creating 100-foot waves. And there was parts where the seas was calm. It says they mount up to the heavens. They go down again to the depths. Yeah, sometimes them waves, man, you see some 100-foot waves, 500-foot waves. You surprised you're looking at the same ocean. If you look at a time lapse, their soul is melted because of the trouble, right? They reel to and fro and stagger like a drunken man and are at their wits' end. So this is the waves. This is the Spirit jumping on the waves. And the sea is very, like, as you could read, like a lot of tumult. It's fiery, all right? Because guess what? Everything's a spirit. And the Most High put the Spirit on the waves, the waters, to be a certain way. It says, then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he bringeth them out of their distress. He maketh the storm a calm, so the waves thereof are still. And that's the same thing that happened with this, because guess what? The Spirit is just like the water. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when the Most High put the wind on you, that fire, you like, damn, hey man, this brother's on fire. You out there on camp. Sometimes a brother might not say a word that much. He's a very calm individual, but the Spirit just jump on him. He's like a roarious wave, and it's just melting the scoffers. He's just on fire. But then again, it's at the same time, the Most High could just bring that Spirit to a calm, and then that same Spirit jump on another brother. And that's just how you got to just work at camp. This is a message to the younger individuals that are coming in this truth. You see the Spirit on a brother, you might want to say something. You just hold your peace, because guess what? The Spirit's on that brother. Or you could feel it. Sometimes you're speaking and the spirit is shifting gears, um, don't come against it. Matter of fact, let me get a precept. Let me get a precept. I'm gonna get a precept on that. Uh, Ecclesiasticus 4:26. Be not ashamed to confess thy sins, and force not the course of the river. Right? Don't force the flow of the water. If you see the water is flowing one way, go with it. If in other words, don't try to sail upstream, man. If you see the spirit is jumping from one individual to the next at the camp, okay, I'm gonna go with that. You know what I'm saying? So that's as the scripture says, force not the course of the river. You know, if you see the spirit is rousing one way and you try to calm it into another direction, you don't want to do that. You want the camp to be in one accord, one body, you know. And if that wave, that water is flowing on the next individual, okay, bet. You say in your mind, I bet the spirit's jumping on that brother. Let me step down. Or it might just naturally happen. The brother might just come and start speaking. That's normally how it happens. And after a while, brothers get that, but again, you got newer brothers coming in, and you don't want them demons in your mind thinking, man, this brother's trying to take my shine from speaking or some shit. But brothers don't generally have that attitude, but them demons could hop in and make you think that, So, hey, man, just go with the spirit when you out there, right? And throughout the week, you know. Really, you want to pray that the Most High put the spirit on you to be active and participate, It says, but I'm just letting you know how it goes, because it do go like that. That you're gonna have down weeks. It's just gonna happen. Psalms 102, verse I could leave it at 29. It says they make it the storm a calm so that the waves thereof are still. So you know what? That's it. Don't force the course of the river. And the same thing's gonna happen with you, man. When the spirit's on you, don't resist it. If the spirit's on you to do a lesson, by all means, try your best to do the lesson. And don't wait for that to come. You might go, man, the spirit was on me heavy last week. It's going to come again on me this week. And you there waiting for it. You're not praying. All right. And next thing you know, it passes you and jump on the next man. Ecclesiastes 11:4. He that observeth the wind shall not sow, and he that regardeth the clouds shall not reap. Right. So certain people, just like in the ancient world, actual things, you're waiting for the particular wind. You want calm wind, so you don't want your seeds to blow away, right? When you go to sow seeds into the earth, and you wait on the clouds for a good time to sow, and sometimes in waiting for that you can miss it. And what are we sowing? Luke 8:11, we sowing the words of the Most High. So you waiting on the Spirit to come. You trying to observe that Spirit to come on you, hop on you, and you end up not even sowing. And what do the clouds bring? The clouds bring the water, right? So you're waiting for the wind, you're waiting for the water, and you end up not sowing or reaping. Because why? This verse 5 is going to tell you, as thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit. You don't know this, you know what I'm saying? You don't know if the Spirit is going to hit you this week, next week, how it might go. So the best thing to do is gather you some scriptures, all right, and just see how it goes. Gather you some scriptures. See how it goes. The Spirit might extend the lesson. The Spirit might make the lesson short. And thou knowest not what is the way of the Spirit, nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child. Exactly. You going out there thinking you're going to be on fire. It's just not your week, or vice versa. Okay. Well, guess what? The point is you got to go out there. You can't say, man, I'm going to wait for the Spirit to get on me to go out there. That's not how it goes. You go out there, you teach, you go out, you put together these lessons, and the Spirit hit. But the main objective is to do these lessons. And there's a lot going on in the world today, all right, in the year of prophecies 2020. So there's a lot of things to speak upon. Nor how the bones do grow in the womb of her that is with child, even so thou knowest not the works of the Most High who maketh all. Exactly. So you don't know. All right, you don't know when the Spirit's going to hit you, when it's not going to hit you. You're not in control of your own destiny. The best thing you do is to pray, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, put the Spirit on me to edify and teach this lesson, or edify to teach throughout the week, And if the Most High put the Spirit on you, it's a blessing, And if you feel stagnant, you acknowledge that, you understand that, look, this is a part of it, then you go and pray. Romans 11:5. Romans 14:5. One man esteemeth one day above another, another esteemeth every day alike. Right. So one brother, uh, like this again, the spirit might be on one brother one day. You might be on fire this week and not the next. It says one man esteemeth one day above another, and another esteem every day alike. Yeah, and that also goes into the progression in this truth. You have certain brothers that might progress faster than another brother. Again, it's all a thing. This is all a thing of the spirit. You know, it says, "Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind." So you have to be fully persuaded in this truth. You always got to tell yourself. All right, and the apostle of Tahar pulled it to the side off camera and say, you got to ask yourself this question: if you was the last person left, will you be teaching this truth? It's a heavy question to meditate upon, and you have to tell yourself yes. So with that in mind, you can never be lackadaisical. You can never be lackadaisical. Sometimes again the spirit don't be on you. Still put together still get your scriptures together, put a prayer up, and just put the camera, let it roll. Just let it roll. Sometimes I know we can't find topics throughout the week, even though all this shit is going on. You're like, damn, I already did this lesson. Hey, we'll do it again. Do something similar. The Bible is repetitious. So we're gonna end up being repetitious too. But the point is to teach this word. You might go back to the basic, go back to the mill scriptures. I'm talking about Jeremiah 14:2. These types of scriptures, man. I'm talking about even John 3:16. Understanding on that. I'm laughing, but Apostle Ricard said really no scripture is basic. So you never know. You could, like onions, always peeling off new layers and finding something. So, hey, be fully persuaded in this thing. That was a quick to the point, man, on the way the spirit move. And hey, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushai, Ba'ashim Rakak Kodash, double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well, and salutations to the whole elect out there. You Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the most truth and sincerity. Shalom.